Hello everyone, welcome to the session. In this session, I'll be showing how to automate one of the knowledge flow, which is picking an article in published state and moving it to the retired state using the ATF. First, I would show the flow manually and then I would automate the same using the ATF. Let me apply another filter here to pick up the latest one. And let me pick up another article which is from IT knowledge base. Okay. As even in the automation when I do, so I'll be creating a user with knowledge, higher privileges, which is knowledge admin, and then do a query in the system to pick up an article which is in the published state, and then open that article, click on the retire button, and then we will be asked for a confirmation. Do you really want to retire this article, or like is there any replacement for that? And then next step would be like clicking on the retire. Okay, now let me expand the filter. We already have it. And then we see there is an approval created here. Next step is to impersonate as an approval. Click on approve for this article. And I'm looking for the records which are created to be. Open the record and then click on approve. And then we can end the impersonation. Let me come back to the record and refresh here. Now I see the approval is done. And then once approval is done, the workflow is moved to retire. Now, this is a generic workflow for the articles to be moved from published state to retired state, and certain knowledge bases can have approval or it may be an instant retire. So we picked up the first scenario. Now I'll be automating this one using the ATF. First step would be creating a user with knowledge admin access. The reason for knowledge admin, certain knowledge bases will show the retire only either the person who created it or the knowledge managers. And for our workflow to bypass that one, I'm creating a user with admin access. And then I'm doing a record query on the system, pick up a knowledge article, which is from IT knowledge base, which has approval, and in workflow as published and latest as. And I'll be applying the same filters when I'm querying a record. Now I have a queried record here, and the next step would be open that record and click on retire button. And the next step would be using click on UI action to click on the retire button on the form. And as we have seen, when I have clicked on the retire button, I'm showing the flow manually, it is showing up a confirmation pop-up. So to click anything on that pop-up window, we need to use the custom UI step category to get the components on the pop-up. For that, I'll be like retrieving the components of the page once it is moved to that page. Components are retrieved. Now click on next and then need to search for the click on submit. And after this one, the article will be moved to pending retirement and approval will be generated. And the next step is like to get the approver name dynamically instead of hard coding it. To do that one, I would be writing a small side script so that it will pick up the name of the user from that record. And before that, first thing is like I need to be querying is an approval generated or not for this record. For that, we'll be using form category, sorry, server category record query. And this query will be on the approval table. And then I'll be applying one field approving, which will have the sys ID of the record of the knowledge record, which we can get from the step number. This is a record that has been opened and the retire button has been clicked. Now we have an approval record here. Next thing is like to get the approval record, approver name. Let me make a duplicate tab of this one and then add a step, run server side. Here, the main flow that is happening here, let me submit this one and then open so that First thing is like a variable of the approval table. And then the next step that I'm adding here is to get the record with the sys ID that we are providing in this step. So earlier step that I queried, that one will have the approval record sys ID. So in this step, I'm trying to pull the sys ID of that record from this step. It will be a little bit of advanced topic. Once you guys start working on ATF much more, then you will be habituated with running the server-side scripts. So now let me pull up the SID from here. The next thing is like if the record has any approver, then pull out the approver name, otherwise return false. So in the positive thing is like outputs as one of the ATF variable where it will be picking up the record and then it will pass on the data to the output variables. Approver is the field in which the approver information has been stored. If everything is good, then we will be setting the result and output message. Else, if there is no approval generated or if the record does not have any proper SID there, then we need to set the result as false. Okay, let me cross check this one. Created a variable and we are getting a SID from previous step. And with that SID, we're trying to pull in the approver information. If it is good, it will set an output message and you will also the approver name and it will return true. Else, it will be set in the information that there is no approver found. Let me refresh here. Now we have pulled in the information from the backend with the server query. Next step is to pass on the information from this step to the impersonation step so that the dynamically the approver information will be passed on from that step to the impersonation step. Impersonation is done and then we are opening an approval record. And then the person will click on the button approve, approval record. And the assertion would be form submitted to the server. Once this is done, we would open the knowledge record and check if the workflow field has been moved to retired or not. Okay, let me change it here. The table name should be knowledge. User created, query is done. We have opened the record, clicked on retired button, and the confirmation button is clicked. And then we were looking for the approval record. Pulled out the approval name, impersonated as the approver, open the approval record, and the approve button is clicked. And then the knowledge record is opened and the field values are getting verified. So whatever as the functional flow we have done, same has been automated using the ATF. Now let's see the execution. We can see there has been an article picked up which is in the published state. The retire button has been clicked. Article is moved to pending retirement state. And we can see that the system has pulled out the approver name and the same person has impersonated and opened the approval record. And approval is done. And now we can see the knowledge record has been opened and the workflow has been set to retired state. Let me go back to the execution one. Result. And we can see all the one has been done. And even we can see at the impersonation step with the run server side script, it has passed on the impersonation sys ID and name to the next step. So this is what we have for the retired workflow. And then we can get connected back in the next session. Thank you, everyone.